Hi there, Maurice Trammell here again. The website is NoLostHope.com, and I'm here with another video article. Today's topic, abandonment, our key psychological trauma, feeling separated from source. Beginning. I came to this earth a long time ago to learn about matter and to immerse myself in this grand experiment called Earth life in the third dimension. I was asked by my guides if I was prepared to do this, and of course I said yes. Lately I have been feeling shaken to my very core. The root of my psychological distress has been identified as abandonment, separation from the source of my life. I know this to be true because I can feel it right down to my bones. I never realized how important this was until recently, when I relived the whole affair through feelings of abandonment vis-a-vis my parents in this lifetime. That image of the moment it occurred burns clearly in my psyche. I was 4 years old, out on the street in front of our apartment building. A bully had come up to me and threatened me. I turned around and looked up at our second-story apartment window and saw my parents staring down at me, as if to say, "What is he going to do?" As I stood there, realizing I was all alone, my body drained of energy and I felt paralyzed. I felt completely alone, betrayed, and abandoned, realizing no one would be there for me. I have never forgotten that feeling. It has been at the root of all the significant traumas I've experienced since. From that moment forward, my greatest fear was abandonment, or more precisely, the feeling of abandonment. I soon learned that if I performed in terms of jokes, schoolwork, or hobbies, my parents would like me. I took the whole situation to mean, if you want to be loved, you have to do stuff that is impressive. In other words, you have to perform. Of course, that's a child's mind at work, strategizing a situation because there appears to be no recourse. There was no welcome home when I came back up the stairs. There was likely some ribbing and shaming because I was too scared to defend myself. I must add here that this experience came on the heels of several beatings by my father, who used the strap on me after my mother would turn me in for some indiscretion. In our house, every mistake you made was dealt with at the same level of ferocity. Either I was shamed by being yelled at and called down by my bellicose father, or I was beaten. My parents taught me to fear. The physical punishments and put-downs ingrained this feeling in me. When I was out on that street, I was already abandoned. It was simply a matter of punctuating the experience. I realized I had been abandoned earlier when I was told that my father yelled at me when I was in the crib to keep me from crying at night. Parents. My parents were simple working folks. My father had lost his mother at age 6 and was raised by an abusive grandmother who always favored her youngest son, his father, who was my grandfather and namesake, at the expense of the 8 children who had to get up every day and manage the farm while their widowed father slept. My mother's situation was somewhat better, although the instrument of corporal punishment was well established in her home as well. For French Canadian families, physical punishment was the norm. Both my parents suffered some form of abandonment in their childhoods and brought that to bear on us, their 6 children, of which I am the oldest. I know this to be true because I've heard all the stories and have felt it. Presently I have begun to heal those deeper effects caused by disconnection from parental source. How could it be that a child under 5 years of age could feel so completely abandoned? That's the story we are about to tell here in this series of articles on the abandonment trauma. I am at a loss for words at times in trying to describe this experience. It is so hurtful at the cellular and emotional level that it sometimes feels like I'm putting my hands into fire. For all of us who have this experience, it has been a lifelong practice of trying to make up for perceived deficiencies as a result of feeling abandoned. And by the way, those of you who are prepared to jump all over this thesis, let me assure you that your need to do so is based solely on the fact that you too have felt abandoned and you want to rationalize that feeling away. Here's a suggestion for you. Go out and find yourself the nearest 5-year-old boy or girl and tell them why it's wrong for them to feel abandoned. Go ahead. Defend your parents and theirs at the expense of your own inner child. You've been doing it all your life, so do it again now. What's the lesson? There is a lesson here. Abandonment is a feeling, not a thought. It is a feeling, and feelings do not respond to rationalizations or explanations. Those are left-brain tactics intended to soothe and placate a right-brained wound. There is no escaping the trauma of abandonment once that feeling has set in. It has to be assuaged. It has to be accepted. It has to be retrieved and owned in order to be healed. It has to be felt and cried out, screamed out if necessary, because it is embedded in our cellular structure. Why is this so important to deal with at this time? Because the crisis of abandonment is a universal phenomenon that has been with us since the demise of Atlantis, so many thousands of years ago. If we are to ascend at this moment in our history, that issue has to be put to bed once and for all. When Atlantis slipped beneath the waves, it was as a result of the power struggles within the kingdom, between those who stayed connected to Source and those who saw power and greed as a way to assuage themselves and feel greater than others. Only through self-elevation can an individual feel superior to others. And in that superiority lays a kernel of the real truth. This individual has suffered abandonment trauma, which adversely affects the heart, and they are dealing with it by various addictions and strategies based on power and control. This is crucial to understand at this moment where ascension stands very close to us on the horizon. We have to give up those ego goals of power and control in order to feel the loss of our connection to Source. It's no wonder our parents abandoned us. They were only replaying what had happened to them. And this critical rift and secret separation goes all the way back to Atlantis, where we lost our connection to Source. What is Christ quoted as saying when he was up on the cross? Father, why hast thou abandoned me? This is the universal cry of an infant seeking contact with its mother. It is the universal cry of every generation since the fall of Atlantis. No matter how hard we have tried as a species, we have never been able to repair that rift. We've engaged in power-seeking, warring, accumulation of wealth, addictions, conquest, and nothing has worked. Nothing. There is a plight in humanity that goes like this. I have lost you, Father. My heart is broken. How do I find my way home? This is where we are at in terms of our impending ascension process. For those of us who intend to ascend and have followed all the protocols to do so, this dealing with the feelings of abandonment is our last trial. It does not matter if our abandonment was intentional or simply the byproduct of poor parenting. The rift has occurred and has to be healed. The frightened little boy or girl inside has to be coddled, accepted, loved, nurtured, and given every opportunity to cry out their pain. Those who would deny this are not prepared to accept that deeper rift. They are still engaged in the worldwide collusion of pretense about who we are, why we are here, and why we are superior to everyone else. It doesn't matter that you and I saw what you and I saw or experienced in terms of waves of distraction over the course of our lives. Abandonment remains a real trauma and a frightening feeling to confront. It simply will not go away until accepted and worked through. As a species, we have tried everything over the past few thousand years, and we have not succeeded in erasing that effect. It cannot be buried, sidestepped, or rationalized. You go through it with all the help you can get, or you stay stuck. That is your only choice. My name is Maurice Trammell. The website is NoLostHope.com. Thank you for joining me.